but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud, spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Saturday morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so let's get ready to get back into it. All right, hello, Albie Chill, Buckhorse DC, that Crazy Beach Aries, Queen Amoni Huey, Deronda, all right, the lovely T. Okay, let's get into it. Pearly, We the People, Buckhorse DC, Bronze Flat Power God, Annette. All right, so shout out to all of my loyal royals. I see you, Reggie. Okay, Goodness Rated Bo. Shout out to all of my loyal royals. Everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. I see you, Desmond. Okay, so let's get ready to get into it. But before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. All right, I see you, Ryan. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
All right, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, now with that all being said, if you missed last night's broadcast, please go back and check that out at your leisure. Okay, and also, I see Dark Tube just joined us. Okay, So with that all being said, let's get ready to get into it. Everyone, please hit that like button. Thank you. It's the least you can do. Okay, it helps put the video in the algorithm. And also double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. All right, hello, dangerous. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Because it looks like a whole lot of lies are being told around here, okay, by Trump and Pete Hegseth. And I want you all to pay attention because I already told you all days ago that the media, the lamestream media in the United States, to me, they're just a propagandist machine. And Trump has said himself that they spew fake news. Okay. So that's whenever they're saying something he doesn't want them to say. But nonetheless, we all know that they don't always tell the truth. Okay. Sometimes they tell just bits and pieces. Sometimes they leave out things on purpose because they're trying to paint a narrative. Now, they want us all to think that this war is easily being won and that they've gotten rid of all the naval ships. They're taking out the Iranians and all of that. At the end of the day, no, they're not. No, they're not. Okay. They want us to think that only a few of our soldiers have died. Well, I wish that were the case, but sadly, I don't think that's the truth of the matter. Okay. I don't think that's the truth of the matter. And this is a whole proxy war that we never were going to win from jump. And I told you all that from the very beginning. Now, I want you all to pay attention to how the Queen told you that they could never win this because Iran's had 20 years to prepare. And I told you about the GCC countries and all the things I told you. Now you have other people coming out saying these things. Okay, I'm talking about, people like former colonels from the army. All right, but let's get into what this Israeli journalist said. Okay, because he's one of those people, and I think that he is qualified to speak on it. Now, with that all being said, hold on. Before we get into that, which will be the truth, okay, in my opinion, let's go to the lies first, okay? Let's go to the lies told by none other than Trump. Here we go. I want y'all to listen to this. And some people will continue to believe Trump's lies because, like his former press secretary said that I showed you last night, Trump said, even if it's not true, just keep saying it over and over. You see, what Trump is trying to use when he does this, in my opinion, is the power of suggestion. That you keep saying something, whether it's true or not, you keep saying it over and over and over, and like that's going to make it true. Well, it's not going to make it true, Trump. That's what it is going to do. Okay, please pay attention.
Their army is gone. They're just about, look, their Navy is gone. Their communications are gone. Their leaders are gone. 2 sets of their leaders are gone. They're down to their 3rd set. Their Air Force is wiped out entirely. Think of it. They have 32 ships. All 32 are at the bottom of the ocean. Other than that, they're doing very well, Coach. Very well. We're doing, our military is doing phenomenally. Their army is gone. They're just about, look, their Navy.
That all sounds good. That all sounds really good. So they don't have any communications? Well, here's the thing. They don't have any communications. How are they getting all this intel from Russia? Anyone care to venture? Okay, I just have several questions about that alone. Also, let us not forget the lie that Trump said. He told us that he obliterated. Isn't that what he said? That's the word he used, right? He said they had obliterated their nuclear capabilities. And then he comes out just recently saying that they have to stop them before they, launch some sort of nefarious nuclear attack. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. And then also, I find it interesting because he's talking about this wasn't about a regime change, but now he said that he wants to be part of the people who decide who the new leader is. Isn't that regime change? I'm sorry, make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. Okay, now with that all being said, let's get into it. First, we're going to go to what the Arabs said, because I think they broke it down pretty good, in my opinion. This guy breaks it down pretty good, as he says only they could. Now, listen to this. Hey, Hadassah.
2 wars to bury the Epstein files. Only Arabs know exactly what's happening. February 19th, Prince Andrew arrested for Epstein connections. February 24th, Bill Gates apologizes for Epstein ties. February 26th, Hillary testifies. World Economic Forum president resigns. February 27th, Bill Clinton testifies. 7 days of the biggest scandal exposures in history. Then what happens? Same day, Pakistan attacks Afghanistan. Next day, the US strikes Iran's leadership. 2 wars in 2 days. Here's what experienced observers notice. You can't make scandals disappear, but you can bury them under bigger events. Epstein dominated every headline all week. Now everyone's watching explosions. Nobody's talking about Clinton or Gates anymore. But here's the suspicious part. The same week, global conflict rises. Major defense contracts start moving. This is how power protects itself. 7 people exposed in 7 days. 2 wars started in 2 days. While the public watches conflict, deals get signed. Investigations stall. Nothing happens to the elite. Most people see separate news stories. Strategic thinkers see timing. The people at the top don't panic. They redirect attention. You don't fight power by reacting emotionally. You study how it moves. Never assume scandals alone will take down the powerful. Always watch how chaos reshapes influence. If you want to learn how to read power patterns instead of headlines, comment money and I'll share more.
Okay, I'm sorry, no lies detected. You see, that's exactly what's going on here. Okay, didn't I just tell you all, because I'm always paying attention to the timing of things. Okay, didn't I tell you all years ago that when they want to pass some sort of nefarious law that they don't want us paying attention to, it's about the timing of it, that they put those things out there usually when there's something big going on in the news, or they do it around the holiday season, specifically Christmas, when we're all wrapped up in the holiday spirit. Nobody's paying attention to what's going on. Then they slide those laws right on in. Didn't I tell you all that plenty of times? Of course I did. And didn't I also tell you that while they dumped those files, the new dump, okay, this is right after Pam Bondi realized she was subpoenaed. Okay, so she's going to have to do something, but then conveniently she does it right as the war is going on. Okay, so hoping that no one's going to pay attention. Didn't I just tell y'all that yesterday? But we are paying attention on this channel. On this channel, we will not be distracted. Okay, you can't throw us off course because we have the ability to multitask. Okay, and we can check out many things at once. Okay, we can stay focused on a myriad of things at once. Okay, that's what we can do, and that's what we're going to do. The Epstein files are not going anywhere. All right, we're going to keep calling out Trump and the devils like him who need to be prosecuted. Okay, this is Epstein's word, like I told you all days ago. With that all being said, Antoinette, beloved, thank you for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now, I want to go next to this TikTok that I did, because I literally was reading what this Israeli journalist by the name of Alon Mizrahi had to say about this whole thing. Now, he said some of the same things that I said, but he also gave a little bit more info. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And I feel sorry for the people that are just not that smart, who continue to believe the lies coming out of Trump's mouth. Okay, how can you believe anything this man says? Okay, at the end of the day, I told you, and this is the truth. He will tell a lie when the truth would better serve him. You see, he just cannot help himself. He's a malignant narcissist. Okay, and that's not my opinion. That's a fact. He's a malignant narcissist. Okay, please pay attention. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. I'm going to read to you this piece that was written by an Israeli journalist by the name of Alon Mizrahi. Let's get into it. He says, we're witnessing history. Iran, to everyone's surprise, is destroying American bases so thoroughly on such a large scale and so decisively that the world is not ready for this. In 4 days, Iran has managed to expand its sphere of military dominance in the region. Iran has destroyed the most valuable and expensive military bases, property, and equipment in the entire world. Please pay attention. The American bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia are among the largest facilities in the entire world. These facilities have cost trillions of dollars over several decades to build. We're talking about the fact that the bulk of the military spending that has been made over more than 30 years has gone up in smoke. Okay, please pay attention. We see radars costing hundreds of millions of dollars, each being destroyed in an instant. We see entire military bases being abandoned, burned, looted, and destroyed. And I'm telling you, as far as I know, the U.S. has never suffered such destruction in its entire history, except perhaps for Pearl Harbor. but that was just one attack. No enemy in a conventional war has ever done this to America, to Americans' military forces, as Iran is doing right now. It's hard to believe. The military situation is so serious that censorship is blocking almost all new information about this war. If you've noticed, we're getting less and less information every day. Please pay attention. 35 years ago, during the first Iraqi war, we were shown endless footage from Iraq. Back then, smart bombs and cameras were a novelty, but every night we were shown nighttime footage. Now we hardly see any videos at all. Understand this. Supposedly, this is the world's largest military power with the world's largest air capabilities. And on the fourth day of the U.S. offensive, supposedly breaking through Iranian defenses, we don't see any signs of American dominance in the Iranian sky. Where are all the video recordings of our planes flying over Tehran or any other part of Iran, for that matter? American soldiers can't even dream of setting foot on Iranian soil. And to understand how desperate this war is, on the fourth day, you're already hearing the most insane proposals and ideas from the Trump administration. They're proposing sending military escorts for oil tankers leaving the Persian Gulf. What are you even talking about? You want to send American ships into the zone of destruction of thousands of Iranian missiles? Now, no one can get through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, please pay attention. The Iranians have been preparing for this for decades. They're flaunting the idea of arming Kurdish militias to invade Iran. What in the hell are you talking about? Have you seen a map of Iran? It seems the Trump administration has never seen a map of Iran. Do you know how vast it is? What does it mean to invade Iran? Do you think a militia of 10,000 people could invade Iran? Or even 50,000 or 100,000? Iran will swallow them up. Okay, please pay attention. It's very mountainous terrain. He says Iran and the people in the land far away have already lost this war. He says they can delete millions of civilians in their homes. They have powerful bombs and can blow up buildings, but they won't win this war. Iran's military infrastructure and weaponry is deep underground all over Iran. Neither the Americans nor especially those other people have any chance of reaching any of it. They're in deep-ish, okay, S-H-I-T, that is. Please pay attention. They started something they have no chance of finishing. When this all ends, the U.S. will never return to West Asia. There will be no American presence in the Middle East. I'm telling you this now with certainty. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, we already know that they're blocking people and censoring things. I told you all in yesterday that the people in the land far away claim that if they post any videos or pictures of what's going on, specifically what their capital is now looking like, they said they would get 5 years in prison. So marinate on that and ask yourselves why they don't want any of the footage being shown. I absolutely believe everything that this man is saying. And he's one of those people from the land far away. So I think that he should know more so than we. Okay, please pay attention. Okay, that man is one of them. So he has absolutely, as far as I'm concerned, no reason to lie. As far as I'm concerned, he has no reason to lie. And I agree with everything he said. And here's another thing I want to point out. So, as I said, ScrewTube should really be apologizing to the Queen for me having to take them to court, and all the stuff I had to go through. I had to get my channel back after they snatched it, just because I was telling the truth about everything. Everything. Now it's all coming out in the wash. I told the truth about the pandemic, the venom. I told the truth about it. I dreamt it, and I told you all about it before it even happened. And everything I told you was going to happen, everything that I dreamt about came true. But I got shadow banned for telling the truth. And everything we're talking about right now that's in the Epstein files, I told you this all before. About the SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse, about the children being trafficked, about them being eaten and cannibalized. I told you all of this. Some of it was in Hillary's emails, okay? In case you forgot. Now, with that all being said, so this is all nothing new, but still here I am, still shadow banned for telling the truth. And you know what's the worst part about it is they came out and admitted that they censored those of us who dare to tell the truth. If you don't believe me, just watch. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
So at the beginning, it kind of seemed like, okay, we should give a little bit of deference to the government and the health authorities on how we should play this. But when it went from, 2 weeks to flatten the curve to, and like in the beginning, it was like, okay, there aren't enough masks. Masks aren't that important. To then it's like, oh no, you have to wear a mask. And, everything was shifting around. it just became very difficult to kind of follow. And this really hit the most extreme, I'd say, during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out the vaccine program. And now I'm generally like pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative. But I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who is basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they
I'm sorry, say what now? What did Zuckerberg just say? He said they pushed us hard to take down things that honestly were true. How many of my videos did they take down? I'm sorry, at one point they were taking down my videos every week. Okay, I stayed being banned for a week, 2 weeks, and then finally they just took my whole channel. Y'all remember all of that? Okay, Lisa Cabrera interviewed me on her channel about them taking my channel for simply telling the truth. But I have been vindicated as far as I'm concerned, honey. Okay, I'm no conspiracy theorist. I'm a truth teller. Okay, but they want to lie and call us conspiracy theorists where we're going against the grain and we dare to speak against the lying narratives that they continue to push, the propagandist machines called the mainstream media. But let me continue.
basically pushed us and said, you know, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well,
Remember when they took down my video when I talked about side effects and I showed you the proof and the receipts? And they took down my video and then banned me for that and said that I was cyberbullying and harassing. No, that's not what they said. That time they said I gave medical misinformation, which I absolutely did not. And then also, anytime I talked about cannibalism, that stuff that starts with an A and ends with the word Chrome, they said that that was cyberbullying and harassment. Anytime I called out elite PDF file rings, they said that too was cyberbullying and harassment. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that when I talked about them cloning people likely and talking about stuff that Donald Marshall had revealed? Oh, that also was taken down, cyberbullying and harassment. And I'm like, how am I cyberbullying and harassing people? It was all lies. That's why I sued them for it. Because don't lie on me. Those are criminal charges that you're alleging, of which I didn't do any of it. And if I did, why am I not being arrested? Okay, please pay attention.
we're not going to do that. Like we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that have
All right. So anyway, with that all being said, let's continue. Now they have the nerve to come out and say, oh, yeah, sorry, but yeah, the Biden administration had us taking down things that were honestly true. I mean, the nerve of them. Okay. You should be asking yourselves, where in the hell's the First Amendment? I guess we don't have that around here anymore because, yeah, we don't have it. In fact, that Marine the other day, okay, Brian McGinnis, where is he now? I have several questions as to where that man's whereabouts are after he was arrested, okay, and falsely accused of injuring those officers. Did they look injured to anyone who saw the footage? The only person injured was him. But where is he? Nowhere to be found from what I'm hearing. Okay. And I find that very problematic because all he did was exercise his First Amendment rights. So you mean to tell me this is what happens when you speak the truth that they don't want to be heard? Okay. The truth they don't want to be heard. This is what they do. Lock you up and throw away the key. I want you to pay attention because Netanyahu, okay, Satan Yahoo, let's go to what he said. Now, not only did he and some of his comrades talk about how the U.S. needs to deal with the people who are out here saying these things. They need to be dealt with. They should be put in jail or they should be deported. Well, what if you're from here? What if you're from here? And then why would you be put in jail or prison for speaking the truth and saying things that were your First Amendment right? I want you all to think about that. But hold on, because this is what I saw when I got on here this morning. As soon as I got on X, Netanyahu is planning to control media and social media in America to dismantle the First Amendment. They're not even hiding it. Well, no lies detected. They absolutely are not. Now, my question is, why the hell's he telling America what to do? Okay, he's not the president, or is he? I mean, they do say that we have a whole shadow government. We'll talk about more about that on another live, okay? Because I got some information on that too. I mean, since I'm shadow banned, I might as well just keep telling the truth, right? Okay, so let's continue. Now, let me pull this clip up because I thought this was very interesting that he didn't ask them to do certain things. He basically demanded. That's the word that he used, not me. I'm not making this all up. Okay, he demanded that something be done. Here it is right here. I demand that Western governments. That's what he said. Let's get into it. I mean, if you can let somebody from a whole nother country come and tell y'all, this government, what they demand, and it doesn't have any, they're not asking. They're basically ordering you to do it. That should tell us everything we need to know. And remember what I've always told you, the people whom you can't speak upon, you can't voice your opinions, whether good or bad, on them, that's who's in charge.
אני דורש מממשלות המערב לעשות את מה שנדרש כדי להילחם באנטישמיות ולתת את הביטחון הדרוש, את ההבטחה הדרושה לקהילות היהודיות בעולם, וכדאי שיקשיבו לאזהרות שלנו. אני דורש מהם פעולה
I demand action from them now,
אני
he said.
דורש מממשלות המערב לעשות את מה שנדרש כדי להילחם באנטישמיות ולתת את הביטחון.
So he basically is saying that this is dangerous for his community. People telling the truth. I thought being anti-Semitic was when you said hateful things about people, when you said hateful, nasty things about people, just like racist things, or when you say disparaging things about racist people. Now, here's my thing. If somebody said black people own everything, black people, they own and control all the media, black people, they built Hollywood. Okay, black people did this and they did that. Why would I be upset? Whether it was true or not, why would that make me angry? Why would I say that's racism? Because that ain't racism. Racism is when you say disparaging things and you try to oppress other people, isn't it? So why would anybody think that it's wicked or nefarious or that people need to be punished for simply saying those sort of things about them? I'm just asking questions. But what do y'all have to say? What do y'all think about it? Because it surely doesn't make any sense to me. And also, even if people did say something like that, isn't that their right and prerogative? I mean, do we all have to agree all the time? There was a man by the name of Ted Pike who was an author and an activist. And in 1987, he was talking about APAC. Yeah, he was talking about APAC. We're going to get to that momentarily. And he had some things to say. Basically, he was saying a whole lot back then that people are pretty much, forbidden to say at this point. But anyway, let's continue. Because I want to also talk about, before it slips my mind, I want to talk about Baal. Okay? I want to talk about Baal and the Baal worshipers. Yeah, the Baal worshipers, they're the ones that are in control. The Baal worshipers are in control. Okay? Please pay attention. That's who I'm going to say is in control. The Baal worshipers, the people who worship Baal. And we all know what Baal is. I did a thorough breakdown on that weeks ago. And so for those of you who missed it, let's just talk about it, shall we? Because I'm going to tell you something else that I found very interesting. Here we go. In the Bible, Baal is consistently condemned as a false pagan fertility god of the Canaanites, representing a major idolatrous threat that seduced Israelites away from Yahweh. Worship involved rituals, cultic prostitution, and sometimes child sacrifice, provoking God's anger. Okay, the key stories include Elijah's showdown on Mount Carmel. Okay, I want you all to pay attention because We've heard about all of that in the Epstein files, have we not? So it would be safe for us all to assume that the people in the Epstein files who were doing those things that were just mentioned, that's in the Bible, for you not to do, are the Baal worshipers. Okay? So that's who those people are. Epstein was a Baal worshiper. No. Let me not say he was, because he's still here. Epstein's not dead. I don't think he's dead. You know, they said that this man, his not his appendix, but his prostate was removed prior to his demise. And then when you look at the autopsy report, it says that it was enlarged. So how's your prostate enlarged if it was in fact removed? Whose body was autopsied? It clearly wasn't Epstein's, the Baal worshiper. Okay, because that's what he was. And anybody like Epstein is also a Baal worshiper. Anybody doing the nefarious things that he was doing, that's what they are as well. Okay, and that's just the facts. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Now, another thing that I had noticed was, if you remember in the Bible, they were talking about the golden calf. Y'all remember that? The golden calf in the Bible that they were worshiping as though it were God. Hold on, let me see if I have that. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. The reason I thought it was interesting is because I happened to notice this right here near the New York Stock Exchange. Okay. Now, this was gifted, I do believe, in an act of guerrilla art. Bedmaki Art Foundry and De Modica trucked it to Lower Manhattan. Late in the evening of December 14th of 1989, they installed it behind a 60-foot Christmas tree in the middle of Broad Street in front of the New York Stock Exchange, and it was given as a Christmas gift to New Yorkers. Now, why would they put that by the stock exchange? It looks like the golden calf that we read about in the Bible. But why would they put that there? I find it all interesting. Well, maybe because that is for those who worship money, wealth, prosperity. Okay, yeah, that's exactly why they put it there. Okay, that's exactly why they put it there. Okay, so all I'm saying is, if you don't know, you would miss that the devils, they're still worshiping false gods right in our faces. And we just walk past thinking it's just a statue. Doesn't mean anything, it's just a statue. Why the hell's a big golden bull statue right by the New York Stock Exchange? Okay, please pay attention, is all I'm telling you to do. Now, with that being said, let's continue. You see, in the Bible, in 1 Kings 18, they talk about how Elijah challenged 450 prophets of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel to prove who was the true God. Well, Baal didn't even answer, okay, while God sent down fire from heaven. And you see, that's what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here with these devils and with this proxy war, Epstein's war that Trump has ensued. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. All right, please pay attention. Gideon destroyed his father's altar of Baal, earning the name Jerubbaal. Now, and like I said, let's not forget how they were worshiping the golden calf in the Bible. More idolatry. That's what these demons and devils do. And the reason it's important for me to point that out is because at this moment, Trump and Pete Hegseth and some of the military commanders are telling this nefarious lie that this is in fact a holy war. That's what they called it. They said it's a holy war. Trump is ordained by God, destined by God to start this war, to bring forth Armageddon so that Jesus can return. This is what the devils are saying. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I think that Satan has ordained Trump to start this war, to bring forth the Antichrist, which is Trump. To bring forth the Antichrist spirit, because as I told you all, it's a spirit. It's not necessarily one person. The Antichrist is a spirit, a nefarious, demonic, satanic spirit that one takes upon themselves. Okay, and there's few people chosen for that spirit, and I do believe that Trump's one of them. And I've already told you that. Now, you don't have to agree, but that's just what I believe. Okay? And I also think this is one of the reasons he's gotten away with all the nefarious things that he's done. I think this is the reason that he's able to just, run this whole con game on his followers, MAGA specifically. Even though MAGA is not that smart, I would think that at some point they started to wake up to the lies after he's been caught in so many of them. But, alas, many of them don't. Now, some of them have woken up, but many of them are still asleep at the wheel, sadly. Okay, nice M10K says, isn't that supposed to represent the bull market? Well, that, in my opinion, is them being idolatrous, beloved. Okay, please pay attention. And what exactly do you think the bull market is? Now, but thank you for insight to the topic and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. This is just devils doing what devils do, beloved. That's what they have always done. They've always built golden images to worship their gods or to worship and ask for things for. Let's talk about Hollywood. Okay, also, they use all sorts of symbolisms to cast spells and magic, even the words that we speak. Why is English known as a bastard language? Because we cast spells with words. Okay, now at the end of the day, just think about it. I'm casting spells right now. Okay, this is a broadcast. What does that mean? Casting spells abroad. This is why you have to choose your words carefully. Okay. So at the end of the day, please don't be deceived, okay, by the things that they tell you, because you have to look beyond what they're saying to find the truth. And that's just what it is. Okay, if you listen only to what they print or what they tell you, then you'll just be stuck in the matrix, because they don't ever want any of us to wake up. And we should all know that, because why did they have marijuana illegal? And it's still illegal in some states, but why is it illegal in some states, but alcohol isn't? Alcohol, named after the demon, okay, the Arabic word for demon. Also, it makes people take on spirits, which is why they call some liquor stores spirits. Okay, at the end of the day, people become angry, want to fight, and even kill when they are drunk off of alcohol. But what do people do when they smoke Mary Jane? Don't they get relaxed and calm and more insightful, start seeing things for what they really are? They become more awakened and alert, don't you think? Now, please make that all make sense. So do they want us to know the truth, or do they want us to stay stuck on stupid? Okay, while they know the truth of everything and they hide this important esoteric messages or information from the rest of us, right? And then demonize those of us who dare to find it out and start speaking on it, like Jim Carrey, for example. But let me continue, because I don't want to get off track. So let's go back for a moment to the Epstein files that I already read to you, because one thing that I noticed was this. Remember when I read to you all about the girl who said that she bit Trump? And I told you all that she was actually a credible witness. They interviewed her 4 times. Now we're just getting the other 3 parts of the interview in the new dumping of the files. But this is what I noticed. You know how they were saying, like, sometimes there's no one to corroborate what the people are saying? But I think this was corroborated. And they know it was, pretty much, because that's why they interviewed her 4 times. And also, let's not forget that some of her testimony was used to supposedly convict Ghislaine Maxwell. So I'm going to go to this email again and point out something. That's right, Leon, they want to stay asleep. Some people do. They suffer from cognitive dissonance. And that's why the Bible tells us that our people perish from lack of knowledge. Okay? And only a remnant of Israel shall be saved. And I'm not talking about the country over there. I'm talking about the Israelites, which is us. Now, with that all being said, Blank states that recently she was informed by an unidentified female friend currently residing in Portland, Oregon, that she was forced to perform taste the cucumber, shall I say. She was forced to taste the cucumber on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in the state of New Jersey. The friend stated that she was approximately 13 to 14 years of age when this occurred. The friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing the acts, okay, and described his heavy breathing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting him. Blank showed her unidentified friend a picture of Epstein on Monday, July the 8th of 2019, and asked her if she was abused by him as well. The friend stated yes to the question, but did not go into detail as to the nature of the abuse. So with that all being said, this is another person who's an Epstein victim who says that an unidentified person who was a friend of hers told her this same stuff happened to her 35 years ago. Okay, so now, I'm sorry, but wouldn't that seem as though someone was corroborating what she said? Let's go to what the friend said herself. C-STAN said, when Bill Cooper exposed 9/11 after it happened, they unalived him a few weeks after that. Yes, he did. He said there was going to be a terroristic attack. I'm a big Bill Cooper fan. Okay, I have his book to this day. Now, he did say there was going to be an act of terrorism. He didn't specify what it was, but he did say there was going to be an act of terrorism perpetuated on American soil. And when it happens, they're going to blame it on Osama bin Laden. And who did they say orchestrated 9/11? Osama bin Laden. Okay, Osama bin Laden. And I'll tell you another thing, just like I told you all, I predicted 9/11. And when I did, and when I called the FAA and reported that and told them what I was dreaming repeatedly, because I dreamt it like 5 days in a row, they acted like I was kind of crazy and said, oh, it's probably just some, what did they call it? Some fighter jets, because I saw some planes like maybe a couple of days before that, some weird looking planes up in the sky. And they said, and I was describing that to them and how they had these funny lights on them and all this stuff. And they said, oh, that's probably just some fighter jets doing some tricks and all that. And then this elder told me, he said, some of the stuff, if the government found out you knew it, they would probably have you killed. I said, I know that because I've always known that, but I'm still going to speak the truth anyway. Now, with that all being said, let's continue, because here is what the friend who's unidentified in these exchanges actually said. Likes up, everyone, please don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Blank recalled at least one incident in which Epstein took her off the island when she was between 13 to 15 years old. He drove her and or flew her to either New York or New Jersey. She was introduced to someone with money. It was Donald Trump. And Blake and Epstein were with others, to include Trump, in a very tall building with huge rooms. Trump did not like Blake from the get-go. He didn't like that I was a boy girl, referencing a tomboy. Blake could not recall the identities of the other individuals present. However, they all exited when Trump asked everyone to leave the room. Trump mentioned something to the effect of, let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be. This is y'all's president. Trump unzipped his pants and put Blank head down to his cucumber. Blank bit the ish out of it. Trump struck Blank and said words to the effect of, get this little bitch the hell out of here. Blank advised she bit Trump's anus because he disgusted her. He had money. It reeked off of him. At one point, people re-entered the room. No further information provided. Blank recalled a blonde, beautiful woman approaching her at some point that day after her interaction with Trump. The woman said, let me give you a tip, little girl, about your breast. Wear a bra every night. Those words have stayed with her throughout the years. Blake got the feeling the relationship between Epstein and Trump included a certain amount of jealousy. She thought Trump appeared jealous of Epstein, but at some point, they ended up on a level playing field. Now, Trump and Epstein sometimes use the terms fresh meat, untainted, and not jaded while referring to the girls. At the time she heard it, Blank did not understand the term not jaded. She subsequently looked up the word jaded. Blank stated that she had 2 additional interactions with Trump, but she asked that the interview move on to a different subject for the time being. Now, with that all being said, in this exchange, she clearly is saying the same thing the other person said, who also was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. She said the same exact story. Now, of course, the other person said she was told this story, but this is 35 years after. Okay, so she told her the story. I'm just wanting you to pay attention to how her story never changed. When people are telling lies and they're making things up, very often they'll forget something they said or they'll add something or take away, but the story is exactly the same age, the same set of circumstances, the same people in the room, the same exact things done and said. Okay, so I don't think that she was lying at all, and it's just amazing to me that nothing at all was done about this. And another thing that's important to note is, how did she know that Trump was jealous of Epstein unless she was with Trump and Epstein? Because Trump absolutely was jealous of Epstein. And here's how you know he was. Remember when I told you all how Trump and Epstein actually fell out over a real estate deal? Okay, they actually fell out over a real estate deal. Epstein was purchasing or wanted to purchase a property that was in foreclosure. He went and showed it to Trump, asked Trump to help him, figure out how to renovate the property, where to put a pool and certain things. And Trump went behind his back and beat him to the punch and bought the property himself. Okay, and then sold it a few years later for like twice what he paid for it. And Epstein was ticked off and was talking about suing Trump. So when Epstein starts talking about suing Trump, that's when they got into it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Epstein gets into trouble, okay, in 2008 about messing around with girls. Trump's the snitch. Okay, I do believe Trump was the snitch. So do some other people. But here's the thing. If you ask MAGA, Trump's the good guy who exposed Epstein. He's the good guy who was the whistleblower. That's what they call him. The only reason Trump cooperated when he was asked anything about Epstein was to shift all of the blame from himself and also to get Epstein to go down so that he wouldn't be sued. Okay, that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, Trump is nobody's savior. He is just as low down and nefarious as Epstein. And that's just the fact, according to the victims and their testimony and their allegations against him, which I happen to believe. Here's another thing. When you think about the fact that Trump has acted so vile, okay, he's acted so vile. Let's not forget how he's, talked about grabbing women by the privates. Okay, he's talked about things, said other disparaging things about women. All right. And even as his former press secretary pointed out, when he was accused of cheating with this woman, I think the woman was a reporter, if I'm not mistaken, but he said that she was not his type. She was not attractive. Okay. He didn't say anything about, well, I'm a married man. Why would I be sleeping with her? I have a wife. No, he didn't say anything about that. He just said she wasn't attractive. He didn't find her appealing. That's what he said. Now, of course, he was probably lying about that too. He probably did find her appealing. It was probably the other way around. But the point is, has he ever shown us ever that he's had morals? Can somebody please name a time in history of hearing about Trump before or after he was president where he's ever exhibited himself as being someone of moral fortitude? Y'all got nothing? Well, that makes sense because I got nothing either. Okay, Bookhorse says, the mighty Israelites are here. I guarantee it. All right, yes, they are. And thank you for your insight and your contributions to the channel, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Ahmadiyyah, where have you been? Shout out to you, beloved. Say, Queen is stunning. Love you. And I love you too. Okay, now with that all being said, it's safe to say Trump is still nefarious. But let's go to this other email where they talked about blackmail. Blackmail, because they allege that Trump knew all about Epstein blackmailing folks. Which, if you ask me, would be another reason that Trump would want to get Epstein taken up out of here, okay, and thrown in prison. And then also by cooperating with the prosecutor, wouldn't that make him look like he's not the one doing anything wrong? Nothing to see here, folks. I'm the good guy. And then if Epstein comes out and says Trump did anything, well, Trump will just say it was retaliation. That was a safety net, if you ask me. Now, mind you, one could say, well, if Epstein had all these videos on these people and he went down, why would he just telling everybody? Well, that's the thing. They knew that Epstein was not going to expose that stuff. They knew Epstein was not going to admit to any of it. Okay, he was a Mossad agent. Okay, and how do we know that? Well, it's in the Epstein files. Now, before, that was always whispers and rumors, but it literally talks about it in the Epstein files. So was he really going to blow his cover? Was he really going to give up the ingredients and tell what he was really sent to do? Because he was sent to corrupt, to blackmail, these politicians, you see, to take away their power. Now, that's my opinion. But anyway, with that all being said, let's talk about this email here. Now, it says Epstein talked, and this is what the victim says. Epstein talked about blackmailing people in front of Blank. Blank was confident Trump knew Epstein blackmailed people because she heard Epstein and Trump talking about it. Blank stated she knew Trump had illegal building permits. Now, how would she know that? How would she know if Trump had illegal building permits? See, this is the thing. How would she even know about his buildings or his business if she was not around him? Okay. You see how it's making it seem more and more credible? Okay. I just don't know why. Well, yeah, I think I do know why. Because the people that were given this information were likely involved in the same thing. Okay. And if they weren't involved in it, they were clearly apologists or protectors of PDF files, in my opinion. Hold on, beloveds. Now, with that all being said, and Trump did have a few failed projects. Okay, so she went on to say that he had illegal building permits. She heard him, Trump that is, talking about washing money through casinos. Now, how would she know that? Do you all remember when Trump was trying to get those casinos and he was talking about the Native Americans that they were calling natives weren't real natives and all of that? Remember, that was like in the 90s, early 90s. I remember seeing that video footage. But how would she know anything about Trump having anything or wanting anything to do with casinos? Now, number 6 is Donald Trump's favorite number. Blank was not sure how she knew that, but she had heard it at one point. Blank stated that Epstein's blackmailing of her mother ruined her family. Yeah, because remember, her mother ended up going to prison. And isn't that crazy? The victim of his blackmail went to prison. That's often how these things turned out. If you think about the McMartin preschool case where they had these PDF files doing these nefarious things to children, some of the victims actually absolutely went to prison. 2 of them. One victim and another person who corroborated the victim's testimony also went to prison. But the perpetrators did not. Okay, they were acquitted. Nothing to see here, folks. These people are all crazy. It's satanic panic. Someone actually said that when we're reporting on these Epstein files, that maybe we need to stop talking about the demonic, satanic stuff and the rituals and the cannibalism, because that makes it all sound so crazy and nefarious that some people can easily, not believe it. And then that, people in charge, like judges or whatever, and law enforcement can just discount it and say that we're all crazy and that it makes no sense. So they said maybe instead of focusing on those things, we should only focus on the fact that they were, actually abusing these people and torturing them and whatnot. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? Now, maybe that's a thought, but at the end of the day, the truth still needs to be told. Because I think people need to know absolutely how wicked, nefarious, and how close to the devil these people actually are. Okay? But let's continue. Said he ruined her family. And then let's not forget how she also claims that she was stalked, threatened, and all of that for years. Not just her, but her mother and even her father. Now, I think I have that clip of Epstein. I think I have that clip of Epstein when the guy was saying that, I think it was Steve Bannon, when he was saying that Epstein was the devil. Hold on, let me see what this TikTok is talking about. Hold on, beloveds, give me just a second. Let's go to this TikTok while I look for this information.
Does anybody else find it absolutely wild that the Epstein files just like fell off the map? Like, there is absolutely no talk about it. There is talk about all kinds of other things, but nothing happened with the Epstein files. And I think that's crazy. Speaking of, Have you looked up like what have been the biggest protests in the last 5 years? Well, let me give you a little rundown. Number one is the Black Lives Matter uprising, which happened with the murder of George Floyd, where there was estimates of 15 to 26 million participants nationwide, like demonstrations where they were burning down buildings, rioting, like going through all this wild stuff to absolutely show how important this subject was. And then the next one was like the No Kings protest, which had around like 7 million people participate in it. And it was one of the biggest one-day events that happened. And then there's another one, and it was called the Hands Off protest, which wasn't really popular, but there was like 3 to 5 million participants, which is a lot. But you know what's absolutely crazy? Whenever it comes to these billionaires and these politicians that are paid off by them that can go over to islands and do whatever they want to little kids, there's nothing. And I was kind of curious. I'm like, why isn't this a big deal? Why are people not having these uprisings? And this is crazy, but all of those that happened were televised events. The news and media absolutely pushed it out into the public, making it look like one of the most important subjects that ever happened. Now, are they important? Sure, they are. They are very important to a lot of different people. But billionaires and politicians diddling little kids? No, that just falls off the map. It's not even important enough to really get a deep dive on the media. And I think that is absolutely fascinating. So whenever you're wondering how much power the media actually has, it has that much power. And that's pretty freaky whenever you consider that all the news outlets are owned like by 5 people. And then I'm sure they conglomerate into some sort of other superpower that's like 1 or 2 different people. But what's even more wild is they have that much power, and only like 24 to 26% of the population actually watches and trusts the news. So that's interesting that they still have that much power. But anyways, this has been pestering the fuck out of me, and I can't
Okay, no lies detected as far as I'm concerned. No lies detected. Stuff like this doesn't get any protests. I mean, I told you all this before myself. I've said the same thing, that nobody's protesting about these Epstein files. Okay, nobody's mad enough. But today is March 7th. So what are we supposed to do today, people? Okay, we're supposed to be protesting. Okay, please pay attention. Now, I'm not talking about going outside, taking to the streets. But you need to be protesting some of these nefarious companies that support people like Trump, people that donated to his campaign. Do whatever you can do. Make a difference some sort of way. Okay, now let's get into it, because here's this video. As I was looking at this the other night, I've showed you all this before, but what I noticed was Epstein. You know how they say that the devil, when you call on the name Jesus, the devil flees, right? I thought it was interesting that in this interview, when they're talking to Epstein and Jesus is mentioned, Epstein calls him a carpenter. I thought that was kind of interesting. So let's go to the footage.
Ezra's the same way, right? Never wrote anything.
I thought he was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Didn't he need like a little carpenter's tool? I don't get that.
But at least his written record.
Right.
One last thing. Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question. Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember the devil is somebody knows
smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is at the number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good.
Okay.
He tried to crack a joke when he was questioned about Jesus, okay? I think that's because he was a little nervous and didn't really want to talk about Jesus. And then he brought up him being a carpenter. Okay, what did that have to do with it? I just thought that was interesting. But now let's take a look at Britney Spears, because I've told you all plenty of times that some of these Hollywood children, they lose their minds, they get hooked on illegal substances, they become alcoholics, they end up homeless, all sorts of things, because they've been preyed upon as children, just like some of those in the Epstein files. And if you didn't know, Britney Spears' name is mentioned over 100 times in the Epstein files, okay? Now, with that all being said, let's go to this clip. I have muted the sound because they're playing music. But I want you to look at Brittany, how she has changed over the years. And people are saying that she's crazy and all of this. But this young lady has likely had some very devastating things done to her, in my opinion. I mean, y'all don't find that strange when you look at people like Brittany, when you look at people like Todd Bridges, Dana Plato, who's now deceased, when you look at Macaulay Culkin, Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, and Corey Feldman and Corey Haim came out and flat out said it, that there was PDF files in the industry and what they were doing to children and how they would come and pick them up and take them to these parties with only adults there, save for the children that they brought in. All those times he said, and their mothers would let them go. Now, did the mothers know that some of these things were going on? I think some of the mothers absolutely knew. Okay? Some of the parents absolutely sold out their children, in my opinion. And then poor Michael Jackson, who was a friend to these children, okay, Macaulay Culkin said had it not been for Michael Jackson, he could have ended up on Epstein's island. Okay? Now, I find that all interesting. But they wanted to make Michael Jackson seem like he was a PDF file. They told all kinds of lies. And even after he was acquitted, you still have some people who want to believe the lies. But they don't want to believe what's in the Epstein files because to them, that sounds crazy. That's too far-fetched. But they'll believe the lies told on Michael Jackson. Okay, please pay attention. The devils are slick. If nothing else, they are absolutely slick as far as I'm concerned. Okay? Especially to those who are asleep. The woke people will always see them for who they really are. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now we're just going to get into what a few TikTokers are saying. That's right. Just Anticipate says Orlando Brown, Amanda Bynes, Lindsay Lohan. Exactly. And then listen, let's not forget the videos of the things at Disney with the sexually explicit images and symbolisms in Disney movies, okay, for children. I've shown you all a whole video about those things. And then also, let's not forget the expose on Nickelodeon, okay?
This is a video to all of those that are making videos about the Epstein files and people who aren't even making videos about the Epstein files who are doing their research independently. Be careful with how much you want to know because evil has no end. I think a lot of people feel as if the more and more they uncover in these Epstein files, the more that's going to happen, or the more that they can decode, the more that they can piece together. I guess it's some type of feeling of empowerment, right? Now that we've had all this information leaked and we're able to go through it, right? We feel some type of empowerment the more and more we go and the more and more we find out. But here's the thing, that they are releasing these files in massive droves and they're releasing them like this on purpose. It's like a release schedule for like a movie. They know that everybody's eyes and everybody's attention is going to be on them. And it's so traumatic to read all the things that are going on that it's worsening our ability to come together and actually fight against this, because the more and more you try to detangle the web, the more and more tangled in it you get, the more your brain tries to wrap itself around all this sadistic evilness that is happening, the more it's going to affect your psyche. You are going to feel desensitized after all this, or you're going to feel hopeless and powerless after all this, because the rabbit hole goes so deep that you can't comprehend it. I mean, think about what level of insanity these people have to have reached in order to do all of this. That is the level of insanity that is going to be put onto your brain, trying to wrap yourself around all of the evil that is going on. And you realize that the more that you dive deeper in, you realize this connection and you realize that connection, and you've just created your own web of information, of events that you can't even quantify because they've happened after over such a long period of time. There's so much in these files that your brain is not designed to decode all that information. And when we talk about people aren't mad enough, you're not going to get madder by reading the Epstein files, because you already should know they've been doing evil shit behind closed doors for generations. I'm going to be real. I haven't even looked at them because there's no point. There's no point, because I understand, and a lot of people have long understood, Black people have long been saying, if you listen to your grandparents, they have been long saying, hey, they've been doing this shit for a long time. And it's so intertwined. You are not the one that is meant to figure it out. You're not the one meant to figure it out. Leave that to God. And I know a lot of Christians say that. They say, leave it to God, leave it to Jesus. But in this instance, no, leave it to God and get ready. Get prepared, because something is getting ready to happen. You need to get prepared. You need to get ready. Stop focusing on this. You need to focus on getting prepared to move the fuck out of here. Okay? Because there's no voting this out. There's no, the more these Epstein files come out, arrest, no, there ain't, this shit gotta burn down.
Okay, so with that all being said, I do agree with much of what he had to say. Okay, now that all being said, let's go to this next clip. Did anybody hear about the Iranians are supposed to be the hackers are talking about they're going to erase the credit scores? Did y'all hear that? That they're supposed to be erasing credit scores? Like that's a threat? I don't believe that one. I think that's just somebody trolling, but that's the latest to come out, that they're going to be erasing the credit scores. I know some people are like, yeah, go ahead. Do us a favor. But let's continue.
Files revealed that in 2023, the FBI was hacked and they lost 500 terabytes of CSAM. 400 of those they got back, but 100 of them they didn't. I did some general calculations to showcase how much 1 terabyte is in terms of different forms of data back when I did the video regarding the public only having access to what is apparently only 2% of the Epstein files, because we found out that the DOJ actually has something like 14.5 terabytes. So I wanted to give more hard numbers this time. Based on this website's calculations, here is the resolutions from 720 up to 4K and the approximate amount of hours that fits into 1 terabyte in terms of video footage, not photos, not PDFs, just videos. Now multiply that by 500, and that is the total amount of data that the FBI was sitting on if we assume it is entirely video CSAM. And now multiply by 100 to see just the amount that they lost and were not able to recover. Now also consider, even if 100 terabytes of the 500 total is photos, we are talking millions upon millions of photos. Remember, we're talking about Epstein, multiple islands, multiple buildings over multiple decades, with who knows how many people involved, with security footage, multiple cameras in each room and building. So 500 terabytes makes perfect sense. 14 terabytes did not make enough sense, and 300 gigabytes was not even remotely close. This feels more accurate to what is actually in stock regarding the Epstein files, and it is disgusting and terrifying. The Epstein files.
Okay, so thank him for that breakdown. He was basically telling us, I didn't even know that they claimed they had been hacked. But let me tell you something that I saw that was kind of disturbing to me. I just happened to notice this. I was looking up the videos of the CEOs trying the burgers because they're all trolling the guy from McDonald's. And so this is what someone did. They did an AI video of Epstein. And I didn't think that was funny. And here's why I didn't think it was funny. First of all, let me go to the video. And again, this is absolutely AI, but we're making a point here.
Strawberry lemonade.
Singing challenge. Hit this note.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not putting it in until you sing.
Strawberry lemonade.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah. Dude, okay, yeah, this is a funny joke. Let's just, I just really want the strawberry lemonade.
Not a joke. I'm not gonna put it in until you sing. Yeah,
Are you being for real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Higher.
I don't do this, bro.
Yeah.
This is really uncomfortable for me. The strawberry lemonade.
I'm
Singing
gonna tell you,
challenge.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't like stuff like that. First of all, there's a bunch of idiots making videos of AI with Epstein doing stuff like dancing or whatever. The reason I don't like that is because to me, that's trying to desensitize us. Okay, that's like trying to make us look at him like he's just some regular person. You know, they're throwing him out there when we have this burger thing going on. I just don't like stuff like that. They're trying to make it like the norm. And I have questions as to who's doing this. Yeah, it's not funny at all. Okay, it's not funny at all. Not to me. All right, so yeah, I just didn't like that. Didn't sit well with me. But let's continue. Now, this is Evelyn Lozada from the Basketball Wives. She came out and was talking about the Epstein files. There's been very few celebrities who've actually come out and said anything.
Y'all, what are we gonna do? Me and you and me, all of us. I can't be the only one feeling like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. I can't. I've tweeted about this. I'm like, I feel like I'm living in the Twilight Zone. There's some real crazy shit happening. So if you are not paying attention, or maybe if you are, I would love to hear what you feel about this. So the DOJ just posted new files on their website. I'm going to give you, if you've been down this rabbit hole, if you've been on the jmail.com, like, have you looked at this shit? I didn't look at the attachments, but if you're paying attention to this, as we should, okay, because they want us to forget about these files, and they have this war happening that's not a war, but a war, because I feel like they want us to forget. But no, we're not going to. So the new information that was uploaded on the DOJ website, and I'm going to read to you some of it, states that, and I'll give you, if you're down this rabbit hole, I'm going to give you the new file numbers if you haven't seen them. So it says, so this interview took place in 2019. The victim had several interviews with the FBI. Okay, so it was several. There was obviously an ongoing investigation about this. The incident took place in the early 80s. Okay, so in this, she says the woman describes being introduced to DT. We're going to call him DT, by Epstein at the age of 13 to 15. Okay, 13 to 15. Trump cleared the room and said, and told her, let me teach you how little girls are supposed to be. Fucking disgusting. She fought back. He struck her. She ended up biting him. Okay. She told the FBI that she wanted them to keep her safe. She was very afraid. They were threatening her. Obviously, these are powerful people. And they basically want her to shut the fuck up. Okay. So this is the new. Let me give you the file numbers. I'm curious to know what's going to happen with Pam Bondi, because I feel like something is happening. But take a screenshot of that. So that's the new. So these are the new files. But this is my thing too. All of this information that's happening, right? All of these hearings, all of these files, and what is happening? Because we don't know what the fuck to do. Like, I'm just to a point that I'm like, okay, we have the information. Like, what are we gonna do? Okay. And it's mind blowing. And then also for me, it's like, don't be in my comments, oh, Biden did this. Listen, I don't give a fuck whether you're on the left or the right. Okay. We want to be able to trust or have some type of faith in the people that are running our country. Okay. Something like now it's just, my thing is, what is happening? What the fuck are we going to do?
She said, what are we going to do? Should we move to Canada? Well, it's not about moving, because this is a global problem. Okay, these people were all over the world. This just wasn't in the United States. This thing was global. It was international. He had an international elite PDF file ring. That's what he had. So moving's not going to fix the problem. The question is, what are we going to do? Okay, we're going to be protesting today, some of us, but the bottom line is anything even going to happen to these people? Are they going to suffer any consequences? Okay, likely not, because if you remember, the man who came before Jeffrey Epstein, Francis Duffield Sheldon, he had a whole island himself. I showed you all that the other day. That man was able to elude justice and die of an old age. Okay, die at a ripe old age. All right, he fled to the Netherlands before they could capture him. They probably gave him the heads up, if you ask me. But anyway, let's continue.
Careful when diving into the Epstein files, right? Because this is very dark, deep, demonic stuff. And this is to do with the elites. This is satanic and spiritual warfare on every level possible. So when you're diving into this stuff, I kind of have a weird theory that this has actually been released for a reason of affecting people at mass, whether this is to see people's responses to such dark and decrepit things, okay? Or this is even more deep and spiritual to kind of really keep people down and under a spell, almost traumatized, if you will. And you're feeding these energies that these entities, these people worship and like to bowl, and all these demonic entities, they want you to feed that dark, deep energy. Be angry, be sickened, be fearful, you know, and you're pushing it out into the ether. And already, since these files have dropped, we've seen strange demonic stuff taking place on TV. I like just the other day from the Olympics, showing stuff like this on stage, and other weird stuff taking place on TV. It's almost like they're playing it in your face, letting you know that actually, yeah, do you know what? Cheers, you're feeding into this, you know.
He's absolutely right. They are putting it in our faces. It's just like I told you all with all of those Super Bowl ads that had things that pertain to the Epstein files, like they were really playing in our faces. Okay. You all, if those of you who saw that broadcast.
And you're giving something power. It's like whatever religions you believe in. If you're Christian, you believe in demons, or if you're Muslim and you believe jinns and stuff like that. If you say the names, or if you react or communicate or dive into some of these darker subjects, you're playing into the energetic frequency of the things that operate on these levels. So as a collective, as a global, my cat's here, right? She's just watching over us in this situation. But you're keeping this reality on a lower level. And maybe that's kind of what's happening here, is this has been released to keep people on a lower level of existence, right? It sounds woo-woo, but if you look at how these people have been operating, Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, all the other elites, CIA, or everything from top to bottom, there's spiritual aspects to this. If that's energetic or frequency ratios, like they operate on some they know stuff, they know what's going on, and they've been playing it in our faces. So protect yourself, be careful how you're responding and reading this information and interacting with it, because it can bite you.
No lies detected, okay? There's no lies detected, okay? Especially when you first get into it. It is like such a nefarious energy. And Measurement is right. It's energy harvesting. You know, the same thing I told you all during the pandemic. I told you all the fact that they were saying that only the essential businesses were allowed to be open and churches were closed. I'm sorry, they didn't feel like churches were essential. But remember when they were closing churches, and then they had all this fear mongering that was going on in the lamestream media? That I told you all that. I said this is nothing more than energy harvesting. They're trying to keep us in a low vibrational state. And they know that when people go to church and fellowship, the people that do attend church, that is, when they go to church and fellowship, that lifts their spirits. Okay. And there's an energy that comes from all of these people being gathered together in one place. Okay. It tells you about that in the Bible. Okay. Where if two or more are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst. But they didn't want us going to church. Okay, I find that very interesting. Now, I don't go to church per se, but I do pray and speak to the Most High on a daily basis. But what I'm saying is they were preventing people from being able to do that and fear mongering us continuously. Okay, at the end of the day, This was all to lower our vibrations. And that's the same thing that they continue to do. And another thing I want you to pay attention to is this. You know, if nothing is done about these people, here's what's going to happen. Remember how I told you all what happened back in 1945? That's what they're trying to do right here, right now. This is why we have ICE out here on the streets. And let me just tell you all this, for all the people who look like me that are listening, who think that ICE has nothing to do with us, please don't let your guard down. Please do not be thinking that nothing is going to happen, because here's the gag of it all. Okay? Here is the gag of it all. If they have their way, and it looks like they just may, they're going to be rounding up the people who look like me. Now, y'all may not think that's true, but I'm telling you, this is what happened back then. Okay? They actually had a whole thing during Ronald Reagan's era. I'm not going to talk about it, because the last time somebody talked about it on this platform, their whole channel got deleted, and that should tell you a lot right there. But they had this whole program where they were able to go snatch up people who look like me if need be. So I think you should be paying attention to that. Because here's the thing. Another thing is all of this stuff coming out in these files, if nothing's done about it, well, if these certain people that want to take over and be in control of everything, including us, including this country, well, if that all happens, they're going to be boldly and blatantly doing the things in the Epstein files in your faces. They're going to be like, yeah, so what? This is what we do. What are y'all going to do about it? What are y'all going to do about it? Because now they know that we know. So now they know that we know. They're just sitting back testing the waters to see what we're going to do. And if nobody does any damn thing, then that's good for them. They'll just let us know that they're going to keep doing it. Okay? And if you think I'm lying, time is going to tell. Okay? And when have I ever lied to you all about my predictions? But let's continue. And that's one of the reasons I was so upset. And mind you, I told you all this before.
Following the Epstein files, I need you to hear this. Stop focusing on the supernatural or occult angles. Seriously. All the talk about demons, superpowers, satanic rituals, or supernatural forces, that's exactly what they want. It distracts from the real crimes. These are just extremely rich people with no morals. That's it. They're not magic. They're not demons. They did rituals to make survivors look crazy if they spoke out. That's the purpose, to make you not believe them. And every time we focus on the supernatural, we're doing their job for them. We make ourselves sound like the crazy guy in the corner, and people stop listening. If you want change, if you want justice to actually happen, focus on the facts. What they did, who they hurt, and how to hold them accountable. That's how you make people care and take action. The rest is a trap to distract you and to keep them untouchable. Stop the supernatural talk. Focus on reality. That's how real change happens. Follow or...
Now, here's the thing. He doesn't seem to think that these people are actually doing rituals because that's what they do. He thinks they were doing that to make the victims sound crazy. Absolutely not. They didn't ever anticipate the victims coming forward. That's why they threatened them, and in some cases, they murdered them. Okay, at the end of the day, this is why they blackmailed that girl's mother, so they wouldn't talk. Okay, they were doing rituals because that's what they do. And here's the thing. You know, it does sound crazy to some people, but at the end of the day, we should all know that they do these rituals. They've always put it out there in front of us. How many of you have seen some of the old movies from the 70s? They did lots of movies. Rosemary's Baby, To the Devil a Daughter. Okay? Many of the movies with Christopher Plummer and Peter Cushing were about these sorts of things. One of the later ones, Eyes Wide Shut. They've always talked about secret societies, satanic cults, blood sacrifices, drinking the blood of babies. They've always done these things in movies. But where do you think they got that all from? That they made it all up? No, this is what they were really doing. I mean, even if you ask me, Roman Polanski, who's a PDF file that they allowed to flee the country and then later gave him an Oscar, please pay attention. Well, they knew that man was a PDF file. And if you ask me, his wife, Sharon Tate, who was a beautiful actress who was murdered during the Helter Skelter killings, okay? by the Charles Manson family, I think that was a ritual. Because during that ritual, what did they do? They cut her stomach open and removed her unborn baby. That's what they did. And if you don't know about that nefarious story, please look it up. So anyway, with that all been said, these people already know what's going on. These politicians, these law enforcement people, the CIA, the FBI, regular law enforcement, judges, they all know about these rituals because some of them participate in these things. So they can sit there and say we sound crazy for saying it, but they know we're not crazy. And I think we absolutely should call it out because that's all a part of it. Okay, that's all a part of it. It is the reality, the sad reality. It is the truth. Okay, it might sound crazy, but the truth is often stranger than fiction. Okay. Now, Miss Tree says, just notice the bull, aka ball, on Wall Street. Exactly, beloved. Okay, thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Now let's go to this because they say that Turkey is protesting Trump and Bibi Netanyahu. This is what they say. Let me pull this up.
Arkadaşlar. Ya çekin dingleri. Bitti mi bitmeyecek. Değerli bacılar. Buradayız ya biz şeyde. Olsun Amerika. İsrail. Kahrolsun İsrail.
You know, and the thing is this, Trump wants to sit there and act like they did something so big and bold because they took out some of the leaders. At the end of the day, you know, their supreme leader, he basically was willing to die. He was already sick. He was dying of cancer, 86 years old. He said if his people have to stay inside their homes, he was going to do the same. So he knew that death was coming for him and he went out like a martyr. And just like his people said, Trump would never do that. Okay, if Trump wants to impress us, be a martyr first, Trump. Okay, since you want to say you're fighting the good fight and the Epstein files proved you're so innocent, okay? But he never would, just like they said. Now let's continue. Like stuff, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. I mean, he wants to spill the blood of innocent soldiers. Okay, these young people should be able to live their lives, not be fighting in some proxy war that he's using to distract us from his own nefariousness.
Is replaying the Hitler playbook to the T. And I think about all the things that my grandparents and their generation fought for. And now, you know, it's coming here and it's being wrapped up in Christianity and it's being wrapped up in, you know, I just, you know, the founder said, if you're not careful with it, you'll lose it. And so I'm out here trying to preserve what I believe is, you know, the freedom that America offers. This president is.
Replaying the Hitler playbook. Of course he is. Of course he is. And only people that don't see that are the people that don't study history. And, you know, those who don't pay attention to history are doomed to repeat it. Okay, please pay attention. Now let's go to this clip. I don't think I showed you all this, where Trump's sitting there talking about Iran must surrender. You know, that's pretty interesting for someone who was just firing at decoys painted on the ground. Okay, they were just firing. I mean, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote type tactics. Okay, I mean, how embarrassed are they? And that actually wasn't the U.S. It was the other people fighting alongside Trump. Okay, BB's folk, but firing millions of dollars of missiles at $10 decoys painted on the ground. Yeah, at that point they should just pack up and go home, in my opinion.
Tonight at 10, in the last few minutes, President Trump has called on Iran to surrender and urged its people to rise up against the regime.
I'm once again calling on all members of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, the military, and the police to lay down their arms. They're only going to be killed.
Tonight, more US-Israeli strikes light up the sky over Iran's capital, Tehran. We're on the border as Iranians flee.
Everybody, every single person is really getting scared and they want to get out of there.
Iran continues to hit back. In the last hour, these are the skies over the Israeli city of Tel Aviv.
And here in Dubai, throughout the day, more air raid alerts. Locals and hundreds of thousands of Brits told to find urgent shelter.
Now, I want you to pay attention how she just showed the sky view of Tel Aviv and didn't show what was really going on the ground. Yeah, because they said that it looks like Gaza right about now. Okay, I can't substantiate that because I haven't seen it because nobody's posting pictures or videos because nobody wants to go to prison for 5 years. Okay, but that's what they said. It looks like Gaza. That's what they said. I find it all interesting.
Stop filming, straight inside! Straight inside!
Running for cover at an RAF base in Cyprus as air raid sirens go off. The Prime Minister says more support is being sent to the Middle East.
We will do everything we can to protect British lives, uphold British values, and safeguard the national interest.
In other news, the government is to offer £40,000 to failed asylum seekers if they agree to leave the UK. And Saharan dust is coming our way with the prospect of orange and red sunsets.
On BBC London, schools are told they must provide allergy awareness training to all staff. We visit a school.
Let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds.
We are waking up to the news that in the month of February, our economy lost almost 100,000 jobs and had the second month of negative retail sales since Trump took office. Meanwhile, we are in the middle of yet another senseless war in the Middle East with no end in sight, which is now also beginning to increase gas prices by 40 cents a gallon. And interesting enough, mi gente, Iran is also successfully destroying U.S. facilities and equipment, which are worth billions of tax-paying dollars all throughout our military bases in the region. Not to mention, Ukraine is still at war with Russia, and ironically, Trump is the one now asking Zelensky to help him with his senseless war by providing him with drone support, while simultaneously Putin is now also providing Iran with critical intelligence to fight us back. Grocery prices are now even higher than before, while tariffs are still demanding our loyalty, in spite of the fact that even the MAGA Supreme Court declared them unlawful. Our electric and gas monthly bills are getting ridiculous. People are getting rid of their second vehicles because they can no longer afford their insurance. Housing affordability is way out of control. Millions of documents from the Epstein file are still not being released, even though a congressional law was passed specifically demanding all of its release. And the Secretary of Homeland Security was just fired from her job because of her incredible failure to deport the millions of illegal aliens who were supposed to be murderers and rapists. Did I miss anything, MAGA huelebichos? Let me know in the comment section.
I love it. What did he call MAGA? So great to say, how you learned that much English, but not the accent. I love his accent. That was hilarious. Okay, shout out to him for going in. Okay, now with that all being said, and then he said, did I forget anything? No, sir, you didn't. That was a full rundown. Thank you for the summary of it all.
Greg spoke this morning and he said, and I quote, "There will be no deal with Iran, only unconditional surrender," which means this is a forever war. It's a forever war. According to the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, it's a holy war. Did you guys know that? We're in a holy war? You didn't know? I guess you guys know this. Holy wars don't fucking end. They're forever wars. The guy who said no new wars, the peace candidate president, he is now advocating and telling all of us, not only are we in a forever war, it's a holy war, and he's going to start another one in about a month. In Cuba, he actually said this. They had a conversation, and somebody brought up Cuba, and he said, oh, Cuba's next. Cuba's next. A lot of people say you shouldn't do multiple things at the same time, but I'm different. We're different. We're smarter. He literally took the lessons of every other crazed dictator, madman in history and said, I'm built different. I can fight a Western and Eastern war. We are so fucked. We're so fucked. And he's the fucking Antichrist. And if you voted for him, if you have that red hat, that's the mark of the beast on your fucking forehead. It's not MAGA, it's Magog. Fuck you. Anybody who voted for this, anybody who didn't fucking listen, fuck you. I'm done. I'm done being nice. This has been, by the way, this has been me being nice to you fuckers.
He went on a whole rant. I mean, that's what you call crashing out. At the end of the day, no lies detected. Okay, and he seems to think Trump's the Antichrist just like I do. All right, and I'm here for it. I love to see these people going in on Trump. He deserves every bit of it and then some. Okay, let's continue. Nice M10K said, that's how you feel. That's how I feel too, beloved.
Go to war for you. I'm 100% disabled fucking veteran. And guess what they do when you get out? First, they break you down and they brainwash you. And then they tell you, hey, you're a soldier now. You're an airman now. You're a Marine now. You're a sailor now. Stand with pride in your uniform. They cost like $800 that you have to pay out of your own paycheck. They don't just give it to you. You got to pay for it. And then after they brainwash you, they throw you the fuck in the trash. Nobody wants to go to war for you. You don't take care of the American people. You don't take care of the service members. And by God, you goddammit, don't fucking take care of the vets. Why the fuck would anyone go to war?
My goodness, let me tell you all something. Okay, Ryan said another mad ginger. And nice M10K said, I love gingers. I love gingers too. I've said that before. The gingers be going in. Do y'all notice that it be the gingers every time? How do they do? They be giving Trump the smoke. Okay. Now, with that all been said, let's go to this video from yesterday. This is, it says, Collapse Codex is the one who posted this video. It says, Iran just bombed Tel Aviv with cluster bombs. Israel's defenses are failing. Let's get into it. Here's somebody speaking the truth, okay? You don't want to listen to the mainstream media. You listen to them when we want to hear the propaganda of it all, or just see what lies they're telling so we can go back and dispel them later. I'm going to put an overlay on this.
Local time, sirens began wailing across Tel Aviv. Residents who had grown accustomed to the nightly routine of running to shelters looked up at the sky and saw something different. The usual pattern of interceptions, bright flashes followed by the sound of explosions high above, was there, but something else was falling. Small objects, dozens of them descending through the night sky like a swarm of fireflies. Except these fireflies were explosive. They were submunitions from cluster warheads, and they were raining down on one of the most densely populated cities in the Middle East. This was Iran's 21st wave of Operation True Promise 4. And for the first time in this war, the world is seeing what happens when banned weapons meet failing defenses. Let me tell you exactly what Iran fired at Tel Aviv last night, because understanding these weapons is understanding why this attack is different from everything that came before. The missiles were Khaybar-Shekin ballistic missiles, one of Iran's most advanced medium-range weapons. The name itself is a message. Khaybar refers to the Battle of Khaybar in 628 AD, when early Muslim forces defeated Jewish tribes in the Arabian Peninsula. The name translates roughly to fortress breaker or castle destroyer. Iran didn't choose this name by accident. Every time they fire a Khaybar-Shekin at Israel, they're sending a message that transcends the military dimension. But the message last night wasn't just symbolic, it was explosive. The Khaybar-Shekin has a range of approximately 1,450 kilometers, more than enough to reach any point in Israel from Iranian territory. It uses solid fuel, which means it can be launched quickly without the lengthy preparation required for liquid-fueled missiles. It travels at speeds exceeding Mach 8 during its boost phase, and its warhead impacts at approximately Mach 2 to 3, fast enough to make interception extremely difficult. The warhead is maneuverable, capable of performing evasive actions as it descends through the atmosphere. This is not a crude weapon. This is a precision instrument of destruction. And last night, Iran loaded these precision instruments with something that makes them even more terrifying: cluster munitions. Let me explain what cluster munitions are, because this is where the story becomes truly disturbing. A conventional missile carries a single warhead that detonates on impact. The damage is concentrated in one area. A cluster munition is different. Instead of one large warhead, the missile carries dozens of smaller submunitions, sometimes called bomblets. As the missile descends toward its target, the warhead opens up and releases these bomblets over a wide area. Each submunition in the Iranian cluster warheads contains approximately 5 kilograms of explosives. A single missile can scatter 20 or more of these bomblets across an area the size of several football fields. The result is not a single explosion, but a carpet of destruction. The footage from Tel Aviv last night shows exactly what this looks like. After the initial interception attempts, viewers could see small, bright objects falling across the sky. These were the submunitions. Some exploded in the air. Others hit the ground, detonating on impact. Fires broke out in multiple locations simultaneously. At least 12 people were wounded in central Israel from submunitions that landed in residential areas. Videos verified by multiple news organizations show the aftermath: shattered windows, burning vehicles, craters in streets, and the distinctive pattern of multiple small impact sites rather than one large one. This is what cluster munitions do. They don't destroy one building. They damage everything within their scatter radius. Now, here is why this matters beyond the immediate destruction. Cluster munitions are banned under international humanitarian law. The Convention on Cluster Munitions, signed in 2008, prohibits the use, production, transfer, and stockpiling of these weapons. More than 100 countries have signed this treaty. The reason is simple. Cluster munitions cause unacceptable harm to civilians. Many of the submunitions don't explode on impact. They become de facto landmines, sitting in fields, on sidewalks, and playgrounds, waiting for someone to disturb them. Children are particularly vulnerable because the bomblets are small, colorful, and can be mistaken for toys. Decades after conflicts end, cluster munitions continue to kill and maim. Amnesty International has already condemned Iran's use of these weapons, calling it a flagrant violation of international humanitarian law. Iran has responded by pointing out that neither Israel nor the United States has signed the Convention on Cluster Munitions either. Both countries have used cluster munitions in previous conflicts.
Now I want you all to pay attention, because that's very important to note. You see, yes, many countries did sign the paper saying they wouldn't use cluster munitions, but Israel and the United States did not, and they've used them themselves. So don't start crying now because Iran's using them. Okay? Don't start crying now because Iran's using them. At the end of the day, if they're using them, then they don't have anything to say. But let's continue.
But that moral equivalence doesn't change what's falling on Tel Aviv right now. Let me give you the numbers that explain why Israel's defenses are struggling. Iran has now launched 21 waves of attacks under Operation True Promise 4. In the first 3 days of this war alone, Iran fired more than 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. To put that in context, during the entire 12-day war last June, Iran launched approximately 500 missiles total. We're now on day 7 of the current conflict, and the rate of fire has been relentless. Each wave brings new missiles, new drones, new threats. Israel's multi-layered air defense system, the most sophisticated in the world, is being tested like never before. That system consists of 3 main components. Iron Dome handles short-range threats, primarily the rockets fired by Hamas and Hezbollah from relatively close range. It has an advertised interception rate of over 90% against the targets it engages. David's Sling handles medium-range threats, the kind of missiles that Hezbollah has in abundance. Each David Sling interceptor costs approximately $1 million. And then there's the Arrow system, Israel's defense against long-range ballistic missiles like the ones Iran is firing. Arrow interceptors cost approximately $3 million each. Against a $200,000 Iranian missile, Israel is spending $3 million per interception attempt. And that's assuming every interception works. Here's the number that should terrify Israeli military planners. According to reports from multiple sources, Israel's interception rate against Iranian ballistic missiles has dropped dramatically during this conflict. Early in the war, Israel claimed success rates of around 90%. By day 7, that rate has reportedly fallen to between 65 and 85%, depending on which source you believe. Some reports suggest it may be even lower for certain missile types. A viral video from 2 days ago shows a single Iranian missile evading more than 10 Israeli interceptors before striking its target. The missile weaves and maneuvers as interceptor after interceptor detonates around it, but fails to destroy it. Then it hits the ground. That video has been viewed millions of times because it shows something Israel's enemies have long suspected but never confirmed. The shield has holes. There are several reasons why Israel's defenses are struggling. First, the sheer volume of attacks is depleting interceptor stockpiles.
I told you also, they're obviously running out of interceptors as well as the United States. Okay. They're running out of the same things. And here's the reason with Trump. Trump is so foolish. He was expecting this to last 4 or 5 days. He miscalculated. He grossly miscalculated. That is the arrogance and the stupidity of him. Okay, you should never underestimate your enemy. You should always, when dealing with the enemy, in my opinion, you should always hope for or expect the worst, but hope for the best. Okay? He went in there thinking he's just going to bully them into submission, that he's going to force them to surrender because how it went down in Venezuela. No, they're not the same type of people. And Trump's talking about he's built different. No, I'm sorry. The Iranians are built different, clearly. Okay, every move they make is a calculated step. Okay, to quote Tupac.
Israel doesn't have unlimited missiles. Manufacturing arrow interceptors takes time, months, or even years for significant quantities. Reports from June 2025 indicated that Israel was already running low on arrow missiles after the 12-day war. Now they're facing another sustained barrage, and American resupply is also constrained because the United States has been burning through its own stocks supporting both Israel and Ukraine. Second, Iranian missiles have become more sophisticated. The K-bar-Shekhan's maneuverable warhead is specifically designed to evade interceptors. It doesn't follow a predictable ballistic trajectory. It adjusts its path as it descends, forcing Israeli systems to constantly recalculate intercept solutions. Third, Iran is using saturation tactics. They're not launching one missile at a time. They're launching waves, sometimes dozens of missiles in a single attack, combined with drones that force Israel to use cheaper interceptors while the expensive arrow systems deal with ballistic threats. The mathematics of this war favor the attacker. Let me walk you through what happened to Israeli civilians last night and over the past week, because the human cost is mounting. Since February 28th, Iranian missile strikes have killed at least 28 Israeli civilians and 1 soldier. More than 3,200 people have been hospitalized with injuries. The deadliest single attack struck the city of Beit Shemesh on March 1st, killing 9 people and injuring more than 28 others. Missiles have hit highways near Jerusalem. Debris from interceptions has fallen on residential neighborhoods. Air raid sirens have become a constant feature of daily life across central and northern Israel. Schools are closed, businesses are shuttered. Millions of Israelis are spending significant portions of their days in bomb shelters, and now add cluster munitions to that picture. The sub-munitions that didn't explode last night are still out there. Israeli bomb disposal teams are working around the clock to locate and neutralize them, but they can't find them all. The small bomblets can land in bushes, under cars, in gardens, in places where children play. The danger doesn't end when the sirens stop. It persists until every single sub-munition is found and removed. That process can take years. Israel is now facing not just nightly missile attacks, but a long-term contamination problem that will outlast the war itself. Now, let me explain why Iran has escalated to cluster munitions, because this represents a strategic decision, not just a tactical one. Iran knows that its missiles alone cannot defeat Israel militarily. Even if every missile got through, Iran doesn't have enough of them to destroy Israel's military capability. But Iran can achieve something else. They can make life in Israel unbearable. They can force millions of people into shelters every night. They can shut down the economy. They can create a constant state of fear and exhaustion. Cluster munitions.
You see, what they're doing is they can keep them off balance. Okay, they can keep them uncomfortable. Just think about it. Always worried and, just fearful of what's going to happen if one of those cluster bomb things is going to blow up somewhere if your children go outside and play. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to live like that? So, sometimes in war, if you feel like you may not be able to outman them because of their military, there's other ways to defeat the enemy, and they seem to know that very well. Okay? That's why you shouldn't underestimate people. Y'all saw the movie 300? Okay, please pay attention.
Amplify this effect. They don't just damage buildings. They contaminate neighborhoods. They make people afraid to walk outside, even after the all-clear sounds. They transform entire areas into potential minefields. This is psychological warfare as much as military warfare. The cost equation also favors Iran. A single K-bar-Shekhan missile with a cluster warhead costs Iran somewhere between $200,000 and $500,000 to produce. Defending against it requires Israel to fire multiple interceptors, potentially totaling $5 to $10 million worth of defensive missiles. And even if the interception succeeds, the submunitions that scatter before the warhead is destroyed can still cause damage on the ground. Israel is bleeding money with every attack, while Iran is spending a fraction of that amount. Over time, this equation becomes unsustainable. Israel cannot manufacture interceptors fast enough to replace what they're using. Iran can manufacture missiles faster than Israel can manufacture the weapons to stop them. Here's what the Israeli government is saying about all of this, because their response reveals how serious the situation has become. Israeli officials have accused Iran of deliberately targeting civilians with banned weapons. The IDF spokesperson stated that Iran is using cluster munitions specifically to maximize civilian casualties, calling it a war crime. Israel has appealed to international organizations for condemnation, but the international response has been muted. The same organizations that might condemn Iran's use of cluster munitions have also criticized Israel's conduct in Gaza. The moral high ground is contested territory.
I forgot I was muted. Honey, how are you going to even think that you can call somebody else out on war crimes when we already know what Benjamin Netanyahu has been charged with? They've already charged him with war crimes. That's why he wants this war, if you ask me, because as soon as it's over, he knows where he's going, to prison, okay? Hopefully. They've already charged him with a myriad of war crimes, all right? But now the person charged with it wants to say somebody else did it. Let's continue.
Meanwhile, the missiles keep falling. Let me tell you what comes next, because this war is far from over. Iran has promised to continue Operation True Promise 4 until American and Israeli attacks on Iranian territory stop. There is no indication that either side is ready for a ceasefire. The United States has stated it is accelerating, not decelerating, its strikes on Iran.
And I don't know if I told you all this, but days ago, Trump requested a ceasefire and they told him hell no. Okay, that's when he started talking all tough, talking about there'll be no negotiations with Iran. Well, you know you can't negotiate with them because they already told you no when you asked for the ceasefire. But they're not going to tell you that on the lamestream media. But allegedly, that's what was said and what happened because there was a whole report about it. Somebody sent it to me yesterday. I didn't see it before I did my broadcast. I saw it right after. Okay, well, let's continue.
Israel has conducted more than 600 strikes on Iranian targets in just 4 days. Both sides are escalating, not de-escalating. And as long as the attacks continue, so will Iran's retaliation. The cluster munition attacks represent a new phase in this conflict. Iran is signaling that it will use increasingly destructive weapons if the war continues. What comes after cluster munitions? Iran has chemical weapons capabilities that it has never publicly acknowledged. It has biological research programs. It has missiles that can reach any point in the Middle East. The escalation ladder has many rungs and both sides are climbing. Here is what I want you to understand as we close this video. 21 waves of attacks. Cluster munitions falling on Tel Aviv, interception rates dropping from 90% to perhaps 65% or lower, 28 Israeli civilians dead, 3,200 hospitalized, unexploded submunitions scattered across residential neighborhoods. This is not a war that Israel is winning on the defensive front. The Iron Dome, David's sling, and arrow systems that Israel has spent billions developing are being overwhelmed. Not destroyed, not defeated, but overwhelmed. There's a difference. A system that stops 80% of incoming missiles is still an incredible achievement. But in a city of 4 million people, the 20% that gets through can kill thousands. Iran has found Israel's weakness. It's not a technological weakness. Israeli air defenses are genuinely the best in the world. The weakness is mathematical. There are only so many interceptors. There are only so many launchers. There's only so much money. And Iran has more missiles than Israel has ways to stop them. Share this video because the mainstream media is showing you explosions in the sky and calling it a successful defense. They're not showing you the submunitions that fell in residential areas. They're not explaining that cluster munitions are banned weapons. They're not telling you that interception rates have dropped by 25 percentage points in 1 week. They're not doing the math on interceptor costs versus missile costs. The story they're telling is reassuring. The story I just told you is terrifying. Both stories are true, but only one of them matters for what comes next. Iran just bombed Tel Aviv with cluster bombs.
Yeah. You see, the lamestream is only telling part of the story. But hold on, because it looks like there's an update. What do we have here? It says Iran should have Arab nations erupt against U.S., hints at a fight until, hold on, this came out 44 minutes ago. Let me see what this is. This is from the Times of India. Let's see what they're talking about here. We're going to get out of here in a second, beloveds, okay? We're going to get out of here in just a second, but let's see what this report is about.
Gathered in Yemen's capital, Sana'a, in a show of solidarity with Iran and Lebanon as tensions continue to surge across the Middle East. The rally comes amid ongoing major military confrontation following coordinated U.S. and Israeli strikes on multiple Iranian cities. Demonstrators voiced strong backing for Iran as the conflict with Israel and the United States threatens to expand into a wider regional war. Supporters at the rally also questioned international criticism of Iran's military and nuclear ambitions.
Let me tell you something that my grandfather told me years ago. My grandfather always said, never mess with somebody who has nothing to lose, because they will absolutely kill you. Okay? Let me say that again. Never mess with somebody who has nothing to lose, because they will absolutely kill you. Okay? Iran probably feels like they got nothing to lose at the end of the day, so they're going to fight to the death of them. They are not going to surrender. They do not want to discuss any ceasefire arrangements. After Trump has talked all of this talk, made all of these threats, told all of these lies, and walked away from the deal, this is what it is now. But hold on. Let me just read this to you, because I literally just saw this. My brother sent this to me days ago. Looks like he sent me this on Wednesday. It says, nuclear proliferation experts are sounding the alarm. Nuclear catastrophe is now closer because Trump chose bombs over a deal that Iran had already agreed to, according to experts. Remember I told you all that? They were ready to come and make the deal, and he just went and did what he did, like a sneak attack. Just one day before the strikes began, Oman's foreign minister announced that Iran had agreed to downgrade its enriched uranium stockpile and submit to full international verification. Another thing that I want to tell you all, for those of you who missed it, I told you all days ago that the Ayatollah had said publicly more than once that he would never want to go to nuclear war because that was against Islamic beliefs. He was never thinking about having a nuclear war. So when they keep talking about specifically Netanyahu from 1996, for decades, he kept saying that they had these nuclear capabilities and they were going to do this and they were going to do that. They never had any intentions of doing that. Okay? They're trying to make these people seem so nefarious. But who's really nefarious? But let's continue. So diplomacy was working. The UN Secretary General said the military operation squandered an opportunity for a negotiated resolution. Now, why did Trump? He's now talking about they better surrender. He was just the other day asking for a ceasefire. He never had to start this. They were ready to come to the table and do what he was asking them to do. Because, of course, they didn't want war. Who wants war when you can just sit down and have a talk and resolve things? But he wanted this because he thinks he's big and bad. He wants to distract us from the Epstein files. And he wants to please Bibi because it's Bibi's lapdog. Now, goes on to say, instead, Trump chose bombs. The operation killed Supreme Leader Ahmadi, leveled military sites across multiple cities, and explicitly aimed at the regime change, something no American president has ever openly pursued against Iran through direct military force. Now for the part nobody in the White House wants to discuss. The IAEA confirmed it has no indication that nuclear installations were destroyed in the strikes. And Iran's deep underground enrichment facilities at Isfahan and Natanz survived previous bombing runs. See, I told you all days ago, they have stuff underneath the ground. And the U.S. and the other people, they have no idea where it is. Okay, as big as Iran is, let me just give you an idea of how huge Iran is. Think of it like this. I live in Atlanta. Let's start here. And then go all the way to somewhere like New York. Okay? That's Iran. Now picture that. How many miles in between? How much land and space? But they want to go boots on the ground in mountainous terrain. It's very mountainous terrain, which makes it difficult to walk and maneuver your way around in. And these soldiers will be unfamiliar with it, many of them. But Iranians, they know it like the back of their hand because it's their land. How do you think that'll turn out if they go boots on the ground? Anyway, it goes on to say Iran kicked out UN inspectors after those earlier attacks, meaning the international watchdog can no longer verify the status of Iran's enriched uranium stockpile. Okay, enough material for over 10 warheads. One scholar at the Middlebury Institute warned that a surviving vengeful Iran will likely reach the same conclusion North Korea did. In a world where the U.S. bombs you mid-negotiation, going nuclear is the only rational move. Brookings analysts noted that the regime's deeply embedded networks won't simply disappear, and destabilized Iran creates terrifying scenarios around unsecured nuclear material. Russia called the strikes an unprovoked act of aggression. China called them brazen. Trump is posting victory laps on Truth Social. Okay, just so ridiculous. This isn't strength. It's the most reckless foreign policy gamble since Iraq, launched by the same people who learned nothing from it. Well, no lies detected. No lies detected. Here's the thing. Let us all pray that they don't go nuclear, because that could be or would be catastrophic. But let me tell you all something here. You see, the president has an underground bunker. Okay, not just an underground bunker, but they have this like a whole city underground with a door that is like, I forget how, I think I wrote it down. I'll get back to that later. But the door is so huge and thick. And when you walk in, it's like you're walking down a tunnel. And they've got all these rooms in there. And it's like 3 stories high. And they've got this room for the president with a king-size bed and all the things in there. They've got months worth of food down there and water and all of that. They've got it set up so they can get at least 200 or 300 of the president's employees and staff down there to work and do whatever they need to do. So they'll be set. You see, that's where they'd all be while the rest of us die. I want y'all to pay attention. Okay, and how do I know this? Well, because I watched this little documentary on Tubi, and that's what it's called, While the Rest of Us Die. And they showed all of this, a whole shadow government they were talking about, and how they have these planes with all of this equipment in there so they can just be so cushy and, just living lavish while everybody else down here is struggling after he is the one that got all this BS started. Okay, please pay attention. They'll be safe and sound.
One Houthi supporter argued that several major powers already possess nuclear weapons and accused the international community of double standards when it comes to Iran's right to defend itself.
Today, all American bases in the region are being attacked, and thus American interests. Tomorrow, the nation will show greater unity around critical causes. Today, the Yemeni people stand behind their leaders and the revolutionary leadership in Iran. Everyone is united in defending the causes of the nation. There is one enemy and one common goal. Therefore, this standoff will continue as long as there is aggression against the Arab nation. Is the Iranian people considered criminals for defending themselves and possessing nuclear weapons? Israel possesses nuclear weapons. Pakistan possesses nuclear weapons. All major countries possess nuclear weapons. So why this unacceptable bias?
The rally came shortly after Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi issued a warning in a televised address. He said the group was prepared to launch attacks at any moment if developments in the region demanded it.
We affirm our support for the Islamic Republic of Iran and the Iran's Muslim people. We are active on various fronts, with our hands on the trigger for any potential military escalation and we are prepared to take action at any moment should developments require it.
Lord of all the worlds, and I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship but Allah, the King, the Truth, the Manifest One, and I bear witness that our Master Muhammad is his servant and messenger, the seal of the prophets. Oh Allah, send prayers upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad, and send blessings upon Muhammad and upon the family of Muhammad, as you send prayers and blessings upon Abraham and upon the family of Abraham. Indeed, you are praiseworthy and glorious. And may Allah be pleased by your divine pleasure with his virtuous chosen companions and with all your righteous and striving servants. O brother, institutions as well as its Islamic system, it even went so far as to target an elementary school specifically for young girls, which tragically resulted in the martyrdom of dozens of innocent female students. It is necessary that the stance of the entire Islamic world should be standing in solidarity with the Muslim Iranian people and the Islamic Republic, and that the Islamic world takes a sincere, serious stand with all forms of cooperation and solidarity with the Islamic Republic, and through political pressure and indeed all available means of pressure to bring an end to that aggression, the Islamic Republic of Iran, with its brave and militant Revolutionary Guard Corps and its valiant army, is actively fulfilling its sacred jihadist duty in the realm of legitimate defense and confronting its adversaries with unwavering strength and targeting the Israeli enemy as well as American military bases throughout the region. It possesses formidable offensive military capabilities and all the necessary means to inflict severe punishment upon its enemies. And it possesses the free will and the courage to make the necessary decisions and to take the appropriate.
Okay, to confront that aggression. Okay, so now here's the thing. They're talking about purposely that Iran is purposely doing these things targeting civilians. I'm sorry, didn't you blow up a school with 150 elementary aged girls there? Okay, I want you all to pay attention. So they go out here and do all this stuff and then want to weep and wail when it comes back on them. Please pay attention. Now, Nice M10K says there's also continuity of governmental plan. Yes, they talked about that in that Tubi documentary. Okay, continuity of government, which is basically predefined procedures and plans, like it's a whole procedure that they go through, or they have these capabilities so that they can ensure that business as usual goes on for the government. Okay, that they continue to operate for essential things that are going on with federal and state, local government functions, and all of this in the event of some sort of catastrophic emergency. Okay, like a bombing or something like that. A terrorist attack, a natural disaster, okay, a pandemic, anything like that. It ensures that leaders, okay, the leadership succession maintains their services and they're able to still do what they need to do and protect the constitutional governance. All right, so with that all being said, I'm about to be out of here. Mama Joy said, MAGA also said their guy was so rich he didn't need a salary, so why take the money from Miriam Adelson to go to war, allegedly? You know, nobody cares what MAGA says. At the end of the day, MAGA doesn't even care what MAGA says. One thing we do know about them, and MAGA that is, you know, is that they have come out and said, some of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of them have come out and said that they don't even care if Trump's a PDF file. So yeah, I'm not going to listen to anything they say. They sound like a bunch of bumbling idiots, as far as I'm concerned. They're the ones that helped us to land in the trouble we're in. But hold on. Let me just play this last video for you all, and I have to go after this. But I found this very interesting because this pertains to those of us who live and reside in Georgia and Alabama. Trump has done something so low down and dirty, it's going to haunt us for decades. And I want you all to pay attention. Okay, let's get into it.
Alabama, what I'm about to tell you might just send you right over the edge because you just got screwed over on a level that I have personally never seen in my life. And what I'm about to tell you is going to give you an enormous amount of insight into how our government and utility companies work together on things that are, let's just say, mutually beneficial to them and extremely harmful to you. So in the very early days of the Trump administration, Georgia Power and Alabama Power both applied for a massive loan from the Department of Energy. Both of these companies are subsidiaries of Southern. And this loan would be the largest loan ever granted by the Department of Energy in history. Now, later that year, Georgia Power came out and made this announcement, which I thought was kind of strange, but Georgia Power approves plan to freeze Georgia Power base rates through at least 2028. Now, let's just say that another way. Georgia Power, who happens to serve people in the swing state of Georgia, agrees to not raise rates until the end of the Trump administration. And they do this while awaiting approval for the largest loan from the Trump administration they have ever asked for and has ever been given to anyone in history. Is that better? And now that loan has been approved. $26.5 billion. Roughly 22.5 for Georgia Power and roughly 4 for Alabama Power. And this is the part where I tell you that you, the ratepayer in Georgia and Alabama, are going to be paying for this loan for the next 25 years. Yes. Well, actually, I misspoke there. It's 30 years. For the next 25 years, you're going to be paying interest. Yes, for the next 25 years, Georgia Power and Alabama Power are going to make interest-only payments. So for 25 years, the federal government gets to suck billions of dollars out of the states of Georgia and Alabama through their ratepayers, because that money will be on your bill. And then in the last 5 years, they have to repay the entirety of the principal. So to summarize, 1, they agreed to freeze rates to help politicians in a swing state. 2, as soon as Donald Trump leaves office, the people of Georgia and Alabama are going to get hammered with massive interest payments, as that interest will just be accruing for those years. And then for the next 20-something years, you're going to have to continue making interest-only payments. Then your kids get hit with $26.5 billion worth of rate increases to cover the principal. If that's not American exceptionalism, I don't know what is.
Okay, isn't that something? Low down, dirty devil. Okay, please pay attention. Mama Joycelyn said, Queen, you called all of this years ago, but it's crazy how it's all come to reality. Exactly. Thank you, beloved. I absolutely did. Okay, I absolutely did. I need to dig up those old videos and show you all the receipts. Those of you who missed it. At the end of the day, everything that I said has come to fruition. And that's just a fact. But YouTubers for hate on the Queen had me deemed a conspiracy theorist. Said that I was out here cyberbullying and harassing people with the truth. Please make it all make sense. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, I'm out of here. Listen, I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Okay, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the Queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got